Hey guys, Bartel's Bookshelf here with my final Star Trek book haul for a little while. I mentioned in one of my previous book haul videos that I had this big box of Star Trek books from eBay. This is the biggest lot I've ever bought, over 50 books. You can see the box here. This is a massive box, so we're going to dig into this together, and yeah, this is probably going to be a long video, and I'm going to try not to spend too long on each book because there's a lot to go through, but while we're here, let's just open this up. I don't have my knife with me today. I have scissors, but let's do this. Definitely would be easier with a proper knife, but there we go. All right, let's go. Let's just dig in, I guess. So we got Deep Space Nine, number 22, Vengeance, about a secret alliance between the Dominion and the Klingon Empire, by Dafydd Ab Hugh. Cool. One of the early Deep Space Nine books when the show was still running. Nice quality. Already had this one in a previous haul. This is Star Trek Deep Space Nine Mission Gamma, book 2 of 4. This Gray Spirit by Heather Jarman. So I already talked about that. Oh, interesting. So a later book in the Pocket Book series, I believe they went to 97. This is number 88, Across the Universe by Pamela Sargent and George Zabrowski. Sounds like it's about Kirk dealing with some colonists, which is a situation that often happens, so we'll see what that's like. Got some more Deep Space Nine here. This is Section 31, Abyss by David Weddle and Jeffrey Lang. This is a sort of mini-series focusing on Section 31, which is sort of a Black Ops section of Starfleet. They're set during different Star Trek shows, but they're all part of this they're all part of this Section 31 series. I don't remember which order this goes in, but this deals with Bashir working with Section 31, so it should be interesting. We have Star Trek Deep Space Nine Millennium, Book 2 of 3, The War of the Prophets by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. Again, I don't know much about this. I believe this is one of the earlier relaunch books, and again, it's 2 of 3, so I can't say much about it. I think the other ones might be in this box. We'll see as we go through, but there you go. One of the Shatner novels, the Shatnerverse novels, as the fans call them. This is Avenger by William Shatner. The sequel to The Return, which I think I talked about in a previous video. About a lethal virus inimical to all conventional forms of plant life, which threatens the entire Federation with starvation. And of course, only Captain Kirk can solve that problem with punches and shirtlessness, I assume. So I have no idea if these are any good or not. I've heard they kind of suck, but we'll see. Another Deep Space Nine book. This is a duplicate. This is one I already had. This is number 7, War Child by Esther Friesner. Now this is, I've heard a little bit about this. This is Star Trek The Next Generation, The Buried Age by Christopher L. Bennett. This is a tale of the lost era, which I think that's the time in between the ending of the end of the original series movies and the Next Generation timeline. And this deals with an early tale of Captain Picard. The 9 years of his life leading up to the inaugural mission of the Enterprise to Farpoint Station have remained a mystery. So this is Picard's lost era, essentially. Don't know much else about it, but could be interesting. Let's see. I think this is book 4 of 6, but I think I have the whole series in this. This is Star Trek New Earth, 4 of 6, The Flaming Arrow by Kathy Olteon and Jerry Olteon. I don't know much about the New Earth concept. I think it's about an isolated human colony in a newly discovered world, and Kirk has to sort of defend this colony and help ensure the survival of the New Earth. So don't know what that's like. We'll see. That's book 4 of 6, so can't say much about that at this point. We got some New Frontier books. We've got number 7, The Quiet Place by Peter David, and we've got number 10, Excalibur Renaissance, again by Peter David. Again, I'm really looking forward to digging into these eventually. These are very well loved by fans, this whole series and these characters, so yeah, I can't comment much on it because I haven't read it, but that's that. We'll see how that turns out. Next we have another numbered Deep Space Nine, number 21, Trial by Error by Mark Garland. When Quark brokers a lucrative deal to trade Trellium crystals from the Gamma Quadrant for gold-pressed latinum, the potential for profit seems too good to be true. It is. Pretty soon, Deep Space Nine is under fire from at least 3 different alien races, each accusing the others of theft, piracy, and worse. Then angry Klingons get involved, and so do the Ferengi. Well, that sounds fun. Look forward to reading that. We've got one of the Captain's Table books. I think I already ordered all of these in previous lots. So I own all of these, but this sounds like a really interesting series. These deal with all the different captains of the various Star Trek universes in this sort of interdimensional bar called the Captain's Table, where they weave tales of their adventures, and they apparently they have a very like exaggerated sort of like maritime Shaggy Dog story quality to them. This is the one for New Frontier, Once Burned by Peter David. So yeah, these sound like a lot of fun. Look forward to getting into those eventually. We have one of the another New Frontier book. We have one of the Gateways series, Cold Wars by Peter David. This was a sort of big crossover event with the Star Trek books that involved this race called the Iconians, who are bringing with them the secret of interdimensional teleportation across vast interstellar distances. Awakened once more, their ancient gateways are rewriting the map of the galaxy, and nowhere more than in the New Frontier. So yeah, that's the basic idea of this series, and they go in. It follows each series of Star Trek that was out at the time. I've heard kind of mixed things about these. Fans seem to be very mixed about it because they had a bunch of books establishing, the story, and then for the last book, where they wrapped everything up, instead of wrapping everything up, with all the individual books, Pocket Books put out this big anthology with a bunch of novellas that wrapped up each individual story in these books. So I know a lot of fans really didn't like that, but we'll see how it turns out. We've got another Gateways book here. This is book 4 of 7, Demons of Air and Darkness by Keith R.A. DiCandido. This one's dealing with Deep Space Nine, so we'll see how that turns out. Again, this all goes in. This is all like the relaunch stuff, so I have no idea when I'll get to any of it, but people seem to really like the relaunch and the post-Nemesis stuff, so we'll see how that is. Here we go, finally. So I had book 2 originally. This is book 1 of 4 of Mission Gamma, Deep Space Nine, Twilight by David R. George III. The time has come for a new era of exploration. With the Dominion War behind them, the crew of the Defiant journeys through the wormhole as Commander Elias Vaughn leads a corps of discovery to blaze new trails into the unexplored reaches of the Gamma Quadrant. Cool. Sounds fun. Look forward to that. Always love a bit of Deep Space Nine. I've mentioned before, but DS9 is my favorite Star Trek series. Already talked about these in previous hauls, but this is books 1 and 4 of New Frontier by Peter David. Again, already have these, already talked about them, but heard a lot of good things about this series. Really hope they're enjoyable. Interesting. So here's another one that I don't know much about. So this is a Stargazer, book 2, Progenitor. I believe this is a duology. I don't know if the first book is in here, but we'll find out. Yeah, continuing the adventures of Captain Picard's first command. So the Stargazer was Jean-Luc Picard's first command job or whatever, the USS Stargazer. They talk about it a little bit in Next Generation. So I guess this goes into detail about his adventures in the Stargazer. So that should be interesting. We'll see. Another one that I already have, but one that I'm very excited to get to. This is book 2 of Dark Passions by Susan Wright. This whole this duology basically explores the women of the Trek universe in the Mirror universe. So it's basically like Bad Girls of Trek is kind of how it was sold. And I know it deals heavily with Mirror Kira and Mirror 7 of 9. And I think there's like heavy like lesbian vibes in the books. So I'll be very interested to see what those are like. Oh, another New Frontier book, number 12, Being Human by Peter David. So yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of these. I think there's like 15 of these now or something. Some more Deep Space Nine here, number 24, and this is a sub-series, it looks like, Rebels, book 1 of 3 by Dafydd Ab Hugh. I'm probably mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. When Captain Sisko leads the Defiant on a dangerous mission into the Gamma Quadrant to liberate a conquered world, the Bajoran government insists that Kai Wynn, the Federation's longtime nemesis, assume complete control of the space station. Left behind by Sisko, Major Kira expects the worst from the Kai's new regime, but even she is caught by surprise when a fleet of alien warships attack Deep Space Nine. Ooh, that sounds fun. I look forward to reading that. That's a cool concept. I love the idea of Kai Wynn being in control of Deep Space Nine. Rest in peace, by the way, to Louise Fletcher, who played Kai Wynn on DS9. She died recently, and she's definitely one of the best Star Trek villains ever. So yeah, just shout out, rest in peace. Thank you, Louise Fletcher. Anyway, let's continue. Another sub-series. I don't know if this is part of the numbered series. I don't think it is because I don't see numbers on it. But this is My Brother's Keeper, Book 3, Enterprise by Michael Jan Friedman. The gripping conclusion to the story of Jim Kirk's lost friend, the man who helped shape a Starfleet captain. Oh, Gary Mitchell. They talk about him a little bit in the show, I think. Interesting to learn a little bit more about him. Oh, no, and I guess this goes into a little bit more of a. It talks a little bit about the first meeting of Kirk and Spock too, so that should be interesting. We'll see. I don't know if I have the rest of the books in this lot. We'll see. Another New Earth book here, book three of six, Rough Trails by L.A. Graff. So yeah, there's that. We'll see what that's like. I don't have much to say about any of these because I haven't read them or they're like part of a series, but yeah, and I don't want to spend my time reading the back because there's 50 books to go through. But yeah, so there's a New Earth book 3 of 6. This one's a little banged up, but this is another Deep Space Nine, number 13, Station Rage by Diane Carey. What begins as a sticky political problem soon evolves into full-scale chaos for Commander Sisko when a tomb of Cardassian soldiers is uncovered on Deep Space Nine. While Sisko searches for a diplomatic way to return the soldiers to Cardassia, the bodies begin to pulsate with life, determined to seek revenge on the enemies now occupying the former Cardassian stronghold. Interesting. So it's like a zombie story almost set on Deep Space Nine. That's the vibe the cover's giving off. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I'd like to check that out. Another New Earth book. This is book 1 of 6, Wagon Train to the Stars by Diane Carey. So I guess I'll read the back of this one since it's the first one. After saving Earth from the threat of V'ger, James T. Kirk is called again to the final frontier. His new mission, to lead a valiant group of settlers to a distant world, to defend the struggling colony from alien threats, and to explore the diverse mysteries and dangers of a strange new Earth. Far from the Federation, a newly discovered M-class world has been eyed as a potential home by a group of hardy and determined colonists. Starfleet can spare only one starship to escort the would-be settlers on their perilous voyage, but that ship is none other than the legendary Starship Enterprise, commanded by the most well-known captain in the quadrant. Now Kirk finds himself responsible for the lives of 60,000 men, women, and children, a task that grows all the more difficult when the expedition is caught in the middle of an ancient feud between two dangerous alien races. Once again. Seems interesting. I like the title, Wagon Train to the Stars. Fans know that was actually that was how Gene Roddenberry sold the show to people. He described it as Wagon Train to the Stars. Wagon Train was an old Western at the time that was about, a wagon train in the West. And so this wagon train was traveling throughout the country, running into new people each week. And it was kind of the same thing with Star Trek, with the Enterprise, where each week it was running into some new guest or whatever. So yeah, should be interesting. We've got Deep Space Nine, Avatar, book 2 of 2 by S.D. Perry. Already talked about this in a previous haul. But yeah, this is, I believe this was the kickoff to the relaunch universe, so I'll have to get to that at some point. Another Deep Space Nine here, number 12, The Laertian Gamble by Robert Sheckley. When a mysterious alien woman from the planet Laertes convinces Dr. Bashir to gamble for her at Quark's gaming tables, things seem innocent enough. Yet the more Dr. Bashir wins, the more things go wrong in the Federation. Ore ships vanish, planets lose their atmosphere, suns go nova. The cause and effect is hard to understand, but is proven by the bizarre Laertian science called complexity theory. When Bashir tries to stop gambling, a Laertian warfleet appears to force him to continue, while on the planet Laertes itself, Major Kira and Science Officer Dax must battle their way through chaos and danger to find a way to stop the Laertians and save Deep Space Nine and the Federation from utter destruction. Cool. Sounds weird and high concept, like a lot of Star Trek, so should be fun. Another New Earth. This is book 6 of 6, Challenger by Diane Carey. So there's that. Some more New Frontier here. This is number 8, Dark Allies by Peter David. Now we have book 1 of Millennium, Deep Space Nine Millennium, The Fall of Terok Nor by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. 6 years later, with the Federation losing ground in its war against the Dominion, the galaxy's greatest smugglers, including the beautiful and enigmatic Vash, rendezvous on Deep Space Nine. Their objective, a fabled lost orb of the Prophets, unlike any other, rumored to be the key to unlocking a second wormhole in Bajoran space, a second celestial temple. Almost immediately, mysterious events plague the station. Odo arrests Quark for murder, Jake and Nog lead Chief O'Brien to an eerie holosuite in a section of the station that's not on any schematic, and a Cardassian scientist whom even the Obsidian Order once feared makes an unexpected appearance. With all those events tied to a never-before-told story of the Cardassian withdrawal, Captain Benjamin Sisko faces the most dangerous challenge of his career. Unless he can uncover the secret of the lost orb, what began with the fall of Terok Nor will end with the destruction of Deep Space Nine, or worse. That sounds cool. Sounds kind of spooky. Interesting for a Star Trek book. And for a Star Trek book, this is fairly chunky too, over 400 pages. So hopefully that's good. And I have the other ones here, so I can read those. More Deep Space Nine. This box is mostly Deep Space Nine. This is number 8, Antimatter by John Vornault. The Bajoran shipyard is assigned to build an engine for a new starship, a project which could be instrumental in revitalizing the planet's war-ravished economy. As Commander Sisko awaits the arrival of a tanker containing the antimatter that will power the starship, a band of hijackers captures the extremely valuable cargo and escapes through the wormhole. When the hijacking spurs a political debate, Major Kira struggles to mediate the dispute between the opposing factions. Meanwhile, Cisco makes a desperate move to retrieve the antimatter. With the stability of the Bajoran economy at stake, Cisco, Dax, and Odo infiltrate the hijackers, a move that could have deadly consequences for them and the planet Bajor. Cool. Hijackers going undercover sounds fun. Like that sort of stuff. Another new frontier here. This is book 5, Martyr by Peter David. This was the first one after the first 4 novellas. So there you go. Look forward to checking that out. Some even more new frontier. This is book 2, which I've already talked about. So there you go. Some numbered Next Generation stuff. Number 61. I believe number 61, I think, was the second to last numbered Next Generation book. This is Diplomatic Implausibility by Keith R.A. DiCandido. 200 years ago, the expanding Klingon Empire found a frozen world rich in deposits of the mineral topaline. They named the planet Tad, Klingon for frozen, and they called the people Jegpuil, conquered. 4 years ago, the Klingon Empire invaded Cardassia, breaching the Khitomer Accords and causing a break with the Federation. On Tad, depleted Klingon forces were overthrown in a small coup d'etat, and the victorious rebels took advantage of the disruption to appeal for recognition from the Federation. Now, the Klingons have returned to Tad and re-established their control, but the stubborn rebels insist on Federation recognition. A solution to the diplomatic impasse must be found, a task that falls to the Federation's new ambassador to the Klingon Empire, Worf. Worf thinks of himself as a fighter, not a negotiator, but the Federation disagrees. Now, for the sake of the Federation and the Empire, a Klingon warrior must weave a fragile peace out of a situation ripe for war. That sounds entertaining. Always loved Worf as a diplomatic negotiator. And looks like there's some kind of furry snow creatures on it. Should be interesting. We'll see what that's like. Another New Frontier. This is number 9, Requiem by Peter David. This is part of the Excalibur subseries. I think there was the other one, and I think this was the first one. So there you go. Another Shatnerverse book here. Dark Victory by William Shatner. The mirror universe is a dark and twisted reflection of our own, where all that is noble and compassionate is instead cruel and barbaric. Now our universe has been invaded by that other reality's most feared tyrant, the dreaded Emperor Tiberius, the mirror universe counterpart of James T. Kirk. Just as Kirk survived his own era to live into the 24th century, so has Tiberius returned from the past to menace a new generation of Starfleet heroes, and only Kirk can stop him. Okay, sounds silly and entertaining. We'll see if that's any good. Hopefully it is. Oh, here's book 1 of 3 of My Brother's Keeper. Oh, duh. I'm an idiot. So Gary Mitchell was I'm so stupid. I've been watching so much Star Trek. They all kind of blend together. But Gary Mitchell is the guy in the second pilot where No Man Has Gone Before, who gets turned into this like ultra super being. He has like these glowy eyes and stuff. So these books are about him. So this is the first one, Republic by Michael Jan Friedman. At Starfleet Academy, Gary is reckless and fun-loving, while Kirk is driven, ambitious, but awkward around other people, especially women. Their friendship begins with a fist fight, then their routine training mission on the USS Republic is diverted to a planet where centuries of bloody interplanetary conflict are about to end in a ceremony of reconciliation. Assigned to help with security on the planet's surface, Kirk and Gary quickly find themselves in the middle of a life-and-death struggle against terrorists determined to disrupt the ceremony. Cool. These sound really entertaining. I love the idea of a young Kirk and young Gary Mitchell going on adventures. Hopefully those are good. So we got Star Trek Federation by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise NCC-1701 are faced with their most challenging mission yet, rescuing renowned scientist Zephram Cochrane from captors who want to use his skills to conquer the galaxy. Meanwhile, 99 years in the future on the USS Enterprise NCC-1701D, Picard must rescue an important and mysterious person whose safety is vital to the survival of the Federation. As the two crews struggle to fulfill their missions, destiny draws them closer together until past and future merge, and the fate of each of the two legendary starships rests in the hands of the other vessel. Sounds entertaining. I always love crossover stories, so we'll see how that goes. We've got the Dominion, Deep Space Nine, The Dominion War, Book 4 by Diane Carey. This was obviously a 4-book adaptation of the Dominion War storyline in Deep Space Nine, which was this huge multiple episode spanning arc. This is based on all of those episodes. So yeah, we'll see what that's like. Another New Earth book, Book 2 of 6, Belle Terre by Dean Wesley Smith and Diane Carey. Cool. Book 1 of Dark Passions by Susan Wright. Already talked about Book 2, and I own Book 1 and Book 2 already, but there you go. There's the first one. Deep Space Nine, Day of Honor, Armageddon Sky by L.A. Graff. Talked about that in a previous video, but deals with deals with Worf and Core, so should be fun. Got Deep Space Nine number 26, Rebels 3 of 3 by Daffodab Hugh. Cool. The series sounds this sub-series sounds interesting, so I look forward to checking that out. Deep Space Nine number 20, Wrath of the Prophets by Peter David, Michael Jan Friedman, and Robert Greenberger. When a fatal disease spreads over Bajor, threatening the entire planet with extinction, Captain Sisko must accept aid from an unexpected source. Ro Laren, Starfleet officer turned Maquis renegade. Major Kira and Ro reluctantly join forces to track the alien plague to its source, even as the disease claims new victims on Deep Space Nine itself. Dr. Bashir struggles to find a cure, but the secret of the virulent invader may hide deep in the shadows of Dax's past. Cool, sounds fun. I like Ro Laren. She appeared in... I think she first appeared in TNG, and I think she made some appearances on Deep Space Nine, but I like her, so we'll see how that goes. Well, we've got a duplicate in the box. Being Human Again, New Frontier number 12 by Peter David. Oh, I'm sorry, there were 3 Excalibur books, so here is New Frontier number 11, Excalibur book 3, Restoration by Peter David. And here's book 2 of 3 of Rebels by Daffodab Hugh, so I have that whole sub-trilogy now, so should be fun, look forward to that. Okay, we're down to the last 3 books here. First we have Deep Space Nine number 15, Objective Bajor by John Peel. The Hive came from another galaxy, billions of alien beings living inside a vast biological starship. They have already destroyed one planet, converting it into raw material and fuel for their endless voyage through the cosmos. Now the Hive is heading for Bajor, and they have given the planet's inhabitants an ominous warning. Evacuate in 3 days or die along with their world. Cool, cool. Number 17, Heart of the Warrior by John Gregory Bettencourt. While a crucial peace conference fills Deep Space Nine with rumors of intrigue and conspiracy, Major Kira and Lieutenant Commander Worf embark on a dangerous undercover mission deep in the heart of the Gamma Quadrant. Their mission, to find the secret of the addictive substance that the changelings use to control their Jem'Hadar warriors. But how long can Worf and Kira remain undetected in the midst of the Dominion? Odo may be their only hope, but to save them, he'll have to stand against his own people. That sounds really fun. I love all the stuff. I'm up to season 4 now of Deep Space Nine, and they're getting into all the stuff with Worf and the Dominion War and the Ketracel White that the Jem'Hadar are addicted to, so that sounds really interesting. Look forward to checking that out. Then finally, we have book 5 of 6 of New Earth, Thin Air, by Christine Catherine Rush and Dean Wesley Smith. So I think that means I have all of the New Earth books. I'll have to go through again when I'm logging everything and see. But yeah, so there you go. That was this gigantic final Star Trek haul for now. Yeah, this was a lot, so and I've got plenty of books to read, so I think I'm going to cool it for a little while. But I hope you guys have enjoyed all of these various hauls. And again, if you've read any of these, let me know. Where do you recommend I start? What would you like me to read? And until then, live long and prosper.